So a while ago, I made a video about this dead forum I found from like 10 years ago where people were doing this thing called neuromancy, which is basically where it's like teaching yourself how to hallucinate and hallucinate anything that's not actually there. That's what neuromancy is. And I thought this like forum I came across was just some dead thing that people forgot about, and I was the only one that knew about it, right? But that was until a user named Gally messaged me on Discord telling me that there's actually like small communities of people on the internet that practice this neuromancy shit and like giving yourself hallucinations. So I was like, Jesus fuck. And then she sent me a bunch of like Discords, and one of these Discords she sent me was called Hallucination Station. You can probably imagine what's going on in there, bro. Hallucination Station. And I joined this Discord where people were kind of talking about teaching themselves how to hallucinate, but it was kind of dead and I didn't really like pay much attention to it. So I kind of left it alone for a few months, but then a few months later I was bored. It was night, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll check out Hallucination Station. But I saw like no one was talking in the Discord, and all the progress logs from people talking about their progress on teaching themselves how to hallucinate anything they want, that was all dead. So I sent a message in this Discord saying, who's the best hallucinator here? And I didn't really expect a response, but then someone called Ring responded to me and said he's really good. He's probably one of the best hallucinators in this server. And I will say, these people doing the neuromancy thing and like teaching themselves to hallucinate, what they call hallucinating is imposition. So when they talk about like imposing an object in real life, that basically means they're like, if I say I'm imposing a cube, that's like hallucinating a cube in the real world, right? Just remember that shit, because I'll be yapping about it a lot. Also, these guys in Hallucination Station and Ring, the guy that messaged me, they're doing this imposition hallucination stuff because of tulpas. Tulpas is basically that thing where you create like an imaginary friend in your head that talks back to you and acts like a separate person. I don't know if you know about that shit. I've talked about it a lot. It's kind of weird, but whatever. So this whole server of people doing imposition is just another word for giving themselves hallucinations. And so this guy Ring messaged me and said he was good at hallucinating, and he sent me his progress report on this website called tulpa.info, which is basically like a forum where everyone who creates tulpas hangs around and they talk about tulpa shit and imaginary friends, blah, blah, blah. So this guy Ring, who was actually really nice, he wasn't insane at all. He sent me his progress report on his hallucinations, basically, because he's been teaching himself how to hallucinate. And I talked to him about his tulpa because he told me he had a tulpa, so like an imaginary friend in his head. And that's kind of the reason he was trying to teach himself how to hallucinate, to like see his tulpa. And his imaginary friend was called A3, and I started like questioning him about it, and he told me that ever since he was a kid, he was always into like drawing comics and shit like that. And so he always drew this one character called A3, and then eventually he made A3 into like a clay figure that he like kept in his bedroom. Came a time where he went to high school and he was like really lonely, so he started talking to this clay figure he made. My voice is fucking dry shit, bro. I'm sorry, I don't know why my voice is so dry, but this guy Ring started talking to this clay action figure and eventually realized he got an answer back in his head, and that's how he created like this tulpa imaginary friend, right? Anyways, that's just some of his backstory. I thought it was interesting. He sent me a bunch of resources on hallucinating and imposition and teaching yourself to see things that aren't there. I kind of felt like a kid on Christmas morning, and Ring was Santa himself delivering all this fucking secret knowledge, bro. So it was good, but I kind of looked at the resources and a lot of them looked complicated, so I kind of left it for a few days. And then a few days later, I went back to his chat and realized I missed something that he mentioned before. And that was that he recommended I check out something called Yaya's imposition adventures. Remember, by imposition, I mean like teaching yourself how to hallucinate. But this caught my eye now, not only because I realized I missed it before, but that he said he would recommend the first few posts before Yayo went schizo. So I was like, oh fuck. I was like, what? Apparently this guy called Yayo went kind of crazy, but he had like a whole guide on imposing and hallucinating objects. The thing about this though is that the only way to look at Yaya's post was through the Internet Archive's Wayback Machine, which basically means his whole post is like deleted from the internet, and the only way to see it is from like the Internet Archive website where someone like got a snapshot of the website years ago while it was still available. So I was like, shit. So I clicked on this Yaya's thing, it loaded, and I started reading. And this Yaya's post was made by a guy called Hydrix, so I think maybe he like changed his username or some shit. I'm just calling him Yayo though, because it's easier. But he just started giving himself an introduction, and he started talking about how he's been making progress with like teaching himself how to hallucinate. He seemed a little strange, but not too crazy. I understood everything he was saying at this point. He was talking about how his method of hallucinating was like to visualize a color behind his closed eyelids. And he eventually got so good at this that he could visualize any color and then turn it into a rainbow. And that's like kind of where he was at with his hallucination shit. This introduction post was cool, and then after that he made a progress update on his hallucinating like a day later, and he talked about how he was making very good progress and he was living a lifestyle that would like let him impose for like a lot of hours in the day. So maybe he like was, I don't know, unemployed or some shit, I don't know, but he had time to teach, like to make himself hallucinate all day, right? But he, after this progress report where he was talking about how he's making good progress and the rainbows he's hallucinating were like getting more vivid and shit like that, he had another section below this talking about deluded ramblings. Like that was the fucking title of it. And here is where he talked about how he experienced something called auto-imaginative imposition, which basically he said he was laying awake looking at his ceiling and he started getting like a bunch of dark visions, like really horrible visions of shit that he kind of couldn't control, although he eventually was able to control it. So he was getting like involuntary fucking hallucinations or something. He said he controlled it, and he like didn't think it would be a big issue, but he just has to like keep that in mind. And then the next reply after that was from another user saying they had the exact same thing. I think the user who replied to this was called Bear. I hope you're keeping track of all this shit so far. I hope you're keeping track of this, but a user called Bear replied saying they had the same thing as him, where they kind of started having involuntary hallucinations, and after that they kind of toned down their imposition practice because they didn't want it to like go too far. And then Hydrix, or Yaya, fucking hell, Yaya, I'm gonna remember to call them Yaya, replied to that and said like they don't think it's an issue, they think it's fine, they got it under control, blah blah blah. And around here as well, he also mentions that he's imposing for like 4 hours a day. So he's spending 4 hours a day trying to teach himself how to hallucinate, right? And then the next post after this is talking about an unusual breakthrough. Like that was the title of the reply. And he was talking about how the vividness of the colors and the rainbows are like much more vivid than ever before. And he's like making really good progress. And in this post, he also talks about how he spent 30 hours in the last 3 days on imposition, bro. So this motherfucker went from 4 hours a day trying to make himself hallucinate to 10 hours a day for 3 days in a fucking row. And the post after this, he says he feels like he stole fire from the gods, and he's having like breakthroughs where his hallucinations seem much more vivid. But he also starts to mention around here that he's feeling like some pressure in his head, like a kind of headache sensation. And around these posts is when he starts getting into like spiritual kind of stuff. He starts talking about like the third eye, you know, like spiritual monk shit, blah, blah, blah. It's nothing too weird. It's just like, you can understand it all, but he just starts, keep in mind, he starts getting into that spiritual shit right around here. So a few posts go by and they just start talking about how the vividness is getting better, blah, blah, blah. He's making steady progress. And in one post, he mentions he was imposing for like 12 and a half hours in one fucking day. And then once again, he's still talking about how he's having like some kind of headache sensation as well. And then around this time, he also mentions that he was able to hallucinate a door in his room and a car that was so vivid that he like had to double check this car in his room wasn't actually real, because the hallucination he created of it was just so fucking realistic that he wasn't even sure that he made it himself. And then after that post, the next post is titled, like it starts with saying, the last 36 hours have been a roller coaster and I need to make an update because I'm losing track. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Here is when he starts talking about while he was trying to force himself to hallucinate, he felt this like sensation trying to invade and penetrate his mind. He starts talking about this weird thing that happened while he was hallucinating. And around here, he also mentions this weird thing. He mentions seeing a vision of an eye inside a triangle that's holding its palm upside down. And that's the first time he mentions a weird vision he's having. So like keep that shit in mind. This is kind of when it starts getting fucking weird. He starts having like some weird visions that are out of his control. Yeah, it's strange. And on the next post, he talks about how it's all coming together now and he feels like he's breaking into uncharted territory separate from mankind, and it just feels ... right. I was looking at that quote like, this guy's fucking, he's going schizo, but that's hard as fuck. Come on. I was like, he may be crazy, but that quote goes fucking hard, bro. And he also said he's managed to have somewhat perfect anime hallucinations. I should have mentioned that before, actually. The whole reason this guy Yayo is hallucinating is to like see his anime imaginary best friend. I probably should have told you that shit before. But yeah, around here, he says he manages to get almost perfect anime hallucinations. And this is where he also starts talking about actual schizo shit. Like he starts like yapping about nanotubes and carbon and like atoms and all this really like sciencey shit. You know, like Terrence Howard, you know that Iron Man actor who went like really fucking schizo, and he goes on podcasts yapping about like weird maths. I don't know if you know that guy, but it was kind of like that. But he says that he made an oath to pursue the visions and see them to the very end, bro. So like that's literally word for word, bar for bar. He said he made an oath to pursue the visions to the very end. So while this guy is going kind of crazy, and these posts started to get a little concerning around here, he's coming up with some mad, hard fucking quotes, bro. And around here as well, someone just mentions looking good, like just giving them support. They're not talking about how concerning this looks or anything. That's the first reply from like someone else. It's just looking good. Now, the posts after this, they basically stop being about his like progress on hallucinating. These posts are just getting weirder and fucking weirder at this point. He starts talking in a really like metaphorical, archaic, poetic way. Like all the posts now are about weird fucking visions and dreams he's having. I can't even talk to you about all the details because they're really fucking weird and I didn't understand a lot of it. But he's making like a lot of metaphors and just writing in a really weird way. And around here as well, he also says his teachings on life are complete. And like, I was like, okay, fair enough. But it turns out, after he said his teachings on life were complete, he was not fucking finished. Because I see there's about 5 more pages of shit. And then after that is when he makes another post like months later, which is the longest period of inactivity he's had on the like forum post. And he talks about how he has some updates. And then, yeah, in this post, he just starts like sending photos of weird fucking drawings he's made. And they're all from like visions and dreams he's had. And they're all like weird drawings, weird shapes, literal schizophrenic shit. I will say he's crazy, but once again, he's like a good drawer. like he came up with good shit, bro. Like the journal looks fucking schizo, but like some hard ass drawings. Like I would save that shit on my Pinterest, right? That's what I'm saying. But after a very long post with a bunch of these weird drawings, the next reply starts with, I've been flooded with feelings and sensations of horror. And in this post, it gets like kind of dark. And he starts talking about how he's having these horrifying nightmares and sensations. And he's having a bunch of like hallucinations that he cannot control. And then after this, a lot of posts say redacted. And what that means is basically they've been like deleted by him. So there was like a whole page of redacted or deleted posts. And then after this, he makes some more posts where he starts dropping some more hard-ass fucking quotes, bro. Like, the next post I see, it starts with this. You need order to understand chaos, and chaos to understand order. What I'm posting is pure, righteous chaos. That's literally how he starts the next reply, bro. What I'm posting is pure, righteous chaos. So at this point, this guy's like completely off the fucking rails. It's not even about like a hallucination or imposition progress report. It's just schizophrenic shit. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait to tell you that quote as well. I've been wanting to tell you these quotes all day, bro. They're just so fucking like, they're just so hard and like crazy as hell. But I need to save all these quotes. Jesus fuck. He also said we need to be willing to give up everything in pursuit of the truth. If you are not willing to give your arm and your leg and your eye, you are not worthy. That's literally what he said. I'm not making this up. You can go and read it. I'll send you the links. But he basically starts talking about, yeah, he will keep going with the hallucination shit to pursue the truth. And like, essentially he's making out, it doesn't matter how crazy he gets, he's gonna keep pursuing the truth and like hallucinating. So I was thinking around here like, shit, we've come a long way from just seeing rainbows and like trying to hallucinate anime, bro. We've come a long fucking way from that. We're now completely down the rabbit hole and it's getting concerning. And then he once again goes inactive for like several months. And then when he comes back, the next post is actually surprisingly sane. He starts talking about how he deleted some of his crazier earlier posts, which explains all the redacted shit on the other page. He talks about how he got rid of that because he thought it would be a danger to him and others to have those kind of posts on the site. And he also starts talking about how all those weird posts he made, he was not of a sound mind when he made them. So it seems like he's kind of sane now. And he talks as well about how his hallucination skills got so good that he started hallucinating stuff even when he didn't want to. And that's basically what caused all his like crazy schizo rants and shit like that. So I was like, wow, it seems he's improving mentally. But nope, the next post is still talking about how he's practicing hallucinating for 12 hours a day and he can easily do it for several hours a day now, and it's actually fun, like it was an acquired taste. So I was like, never mind. I thought he was getting better, maybe improving his mental health, but no, he's still going ahead with the hallucinating 12 hours a day. Full fucking steam ahead, bro. He then posts some more art and drops another hard-ass quote. He says, for anyone who follows me boldly, I want to ask you one question. Do you want to be God? That's his next fucking quote I had to say, bro. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, I can't, is does going schizophrenic make you like just come up with the hardest fucking like shit? I swear. Anyways, he starts talking about some more crazy crap and how everything's happening so fast and he's disassociating and he's having psychosis. So he's completely fucking gone at this point. And then he yaps about how he's working to secure a cabin in the woods, bro, to like properly work on imposition. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but earlier in the thread, he made some joke about moving to a cabin in the woods. Like, I thought it was a joke, but then he actually starts talking about how he's trying to buy a fucking cabin in the woods. Now, finally, for the first time in this whole fucking fiasco, a user comments on Yaya's thread, and her name is Lucilin, I think? Lucilin, yeah. And she comments saying that she's worried for Yaya and that he clearly has schizophrenia and should like see a doctor. She's not being mean at all. She like sounds seriously concerned. And I was like, fucking hell, why did it take so long for someone like her to start like talking about her concerns? Because it is concerning. And then he replies saying, thanks for your kind concern. Like he doesn't give a fuck, but he starts talking about how he is actually regularly meeting with a doctor and he's on medication. But then he also starts talking about how he's getting more in tune with his intuition and he's paying attention to feelings he's receiving, and he's getting so good at listening to his intuition that he ended up placing in the top 0.5% of like some stock market betting tournament or some shit like that. And when he says that, he wasn't lying. He literally posted a screenshot of him being in like some top stock tournament, and he said he wanted to find out if this whole intuition shit was just a coincidence or fake imagination. So he put his intuition to the test, and he then sent a photo of him making $5,500 in a day off fucking day trading, bro. You know, like trading stocks and shit. He made 5.5 grand in a day off intuition because like he knew where the market was going or some shit like that. So I was like, this guy's fucking crazy, but is he? Like, is he crazy? He just made 5.5 grand in a day of trusting his intuition. I was like, what the fuck? He also said he threw up from the stress of it because he like put all his money into that or something. And then in the next post, he talks about how he's meditating for 4 hours a day and physically training his body, because when you strengthen the body, the mind will follow. Another hard fucking quote. So this guy's like, he's literally doing physical exercise, meditating 4 hours a day. He then soon starts talking about how he's meditating for 8 hours a day or planning on doing it. As well around here, someone asks for advice. Someone literally leaves a reply, not talking about how they're concerned for Yayo. They're asking for fucking advice on hallucinating. Yaya gives advice. He drops more hard quotes. Let me read one of these quotes to you that he said after a whole like schizo rant he made about like death or something. He said, the more you run from something, the more you are controlled by it. The more you run into the light, the more you become a shadow. The more you dwell in shadows, the more you become sensitive to light, at which point you will begin to enjoy it. What did he say? Oh my, no, this is the weirdest shit, bro. The more you like women, the more you think you like them. The more you act like a woman, the more gay you are. This guy's funny as fuck. Like, he's so schizophrenic, but the shit, like, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at his schizophrenia, but like, the shit he's saying is funny as well. And on the last page, he talks about how he shaved his head and went out with his friends, and they noticed he left a patch of his hair, and they all started laughing and rolling on the floor. And he says, this is the best thing. This is humanity's peak. So I was like, that's kind of wholesome. Like, he is good friends, bro. He is good friends. And he follows this with more quotes. He says, the way you kill an angel is by letting them create their own monster. And I swear to God, I searched up these quotes. He made them himself. He did not copy this weird shit from anywhere. He created these. And the whole forum thread ends with this. This is how he ended it. He says, "Do whatever you want. I don't care. I didn't change anything. You never will. You never will either. Trust me. That's why it's so fun. Once you accept that, it changes everything hilariously." And then it ends. There is no more from Yayo. And when I try and click on his profile, I see that he is banned. And I actually went back on Discord and I started talking to Ring, asking like if he knows what happened to Yaya, and he said apparently no one ever gets banned from that Tulpa website, like ever, except like Yaya. Like he was like the rare fucking exception, because he started talking about like the Antichrist and like Mexicans or some shit. I don't know what he was yapping about, but he got banned. No one ever gets banned. So I don't know what happened to Yaya. I tried searching up his name. I tried reverse image searching his profile picture. I couldn't find anything on him. I think he's on Discord somewhere. I don't know where. I hope he's doing good. Like, I hope he's doing good, because those quotes were fucking hard. And my God, I hope that made sense to you though. You need to tell me if that made sense, because like that was a lot to dump on you all at once. I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think of that, bro. I thought it was fucking interesting. I spent literal days researching that shit. It was so weird. It feels like reading that. I'll send you the links to it. It feels like you're watching a movie reading that shit. Like a movie about someone's descent into fucking insanity, bro. It's so weird. But I love you. I love you. Dislike the video, unsubscribe for me. Do not join the Discord. Don't join it. I love you. I love you. I love you.